Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Rage video where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to check out our very first time checking out U2. Where, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't technically really too sure about where U2 really meant to be from. I know they're not Northern Irish, and I certainly don't think they're from England anyway. In fact, no, I'm absolutely certain now that they're absolutely meant to be from Ireland. But if at a later date I'm proved to be absolutely wrong, then I'll make sure to stop, I'll make sure to take these stupid things off now. But imagine the look on my face, ladies and gentlemen, if it turns out that somebody points out that they're not actually from Ireland at all. I'd imagine the reaction would probably go something like this. What in the name of love are you talking about there? Also, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm even wearing my the ultraviolet proof shades at all, is because I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a Bono impression right there, The only problem is that these things are so good at blocking out ultralight that I absolutely can't see past my own ass. I'm not even joking, ladies and gentlemen. If I can actually point out to you that literally everything is green, it's like looking through a bottle for its ass. So I think the best thing to do right now, would be to take this off and to exchange for ones that look slightly more sophisticated now. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you can't go wrong with a classic. I've got Gucci shades up there and all, and I'm not even joking. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. So you are still in this lovely little felt bag. It's still got the receipt in it and all. I actually got to sell it off to me brother for £223. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that at that point, I won't even really need them anymore because I got these and I got style, I got class, I got this really, really well done Irish accent. And we have got U2 to listen to today for the continuation of our St. Patrick's Day special. And remember as well, ladies and gentlemen, that St. Patrick's Day is also me mommy's birthday. She's turned 60, don't you know? And it would do me a very, very good courtesy if you guys were to leave down a happy birthday to me ma. That would be very much appreciated. Not to mention the fact that it's also Mother's Day in 2 days' time. And there's going to be quite a lot of things done for me more by that day anyway. And all of your congratulations and thanks very much would be very much appreciated. So with all that being said and done, the only real things I can technically tell you about Sunday, Bloody Sunday, is that I can only imagine this is meant to be reference to the January 18th Bloody Sunday of 1905, when Father Capone and 200 other peaceful protesters, they were making their other way to St. Petersburg to ask Nicholas II to improve their lives, and Nicholas II responded by sending in troops and massacred nearly 200 to 300 people. That's hence the name Bloody Sunday. I hope to God that this is not going to be overtly about Bloody Sunday, and that's because it's just meant to be a reflection of the Super Bowl, which usually does take place on a Sunday. The Super Bowl happened over 4 weeks ago as the time of recording, which is very, very strange. And you know what? I even kind of like that. So, with all that being said and done now, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. And that's because you don't like Monday. So, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. Okay, the more I think about it now, I'm actually going to go on a limb and say, yes, this is meant to be explicitly about about Bloody Sunday, because I'd imagine a lot of the news will be a lot about starvation and a lot about the terrible Russian famine from 1891 to 1892. Probably as well, it's also maybe in reference to things like the tyranny of Tsar Alexander III, and how he introduced the Okhrana and reduced a lot of religious minorities to worship him. There's a fair bit I do know a lot about the Russian Revolution, ladies and gentlemen, and not just because I also watched quite a lot of Oversimplified. You should check in, by the way. You also get access to NordVPN for a reduced price. There's a very, very shameless plug right there, ladies and gentlemen, but just the way Barnos says it, it doesn't necessarily sound like grave or severe. It kind of sounds like this is just the recital of generations of people who see and hear the bad news. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Bloody Sunday. That was like really, really impressive, ladies and gentlemen. I will not belie, because to be honest, I very, very, very rarely listen to a lot of I want to say like U2, because to be honest, it's not that I dislike them. It's just because I strangely never really thought about like when I should like listen to them. But interesting enough, ladies and gentlemen, I've literally one comment has just caught my eye. Today, the 30th of the 1st, 2022, also a Sunday, marks the 50th anniversary of this massacre. I'm going to go on a limb here, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe this is meant to be like in reference to perhaps a very different sort of Bloody Sunday. Perhaps it could be, oh right, Northern Ireland on the 30th of January. Let me see. Let's do a little bit of like research into all this because initially I did really thought this was meant to be in reference to the Russian Bloody Sunday, but we can always take a look as well. Bloody Sunday, the demonstration in Londonderry, also referred to as simply Derry, Northern Ireland on Sunday, January 30th, 1972, by Roman Catholic civil rights supporters that turned violent against British paratroopers, opened fire, killing 13 and injuring 14 others. One of the injured later then died. Oh man. Hang on. Okay, there's a little bit of a large article which I don't just really want to like show the pictures or anything like that because they're pretty gruesome and pretty graphic. 14 out there. Many of the victims were shot while fleeing from the soldiers, and some were shot trying to help the wounded. Other protesters were injured by shrapnel, rubber bullets, or batons. 2 were run down by British Army vehicles, and some were beaten. All of those were shot were Catholics. Okay, that just... Oh, okay. Ooh. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it's extraordinarily bad, don't get me wrong, whenever anything of this nature ever does happen. But you do feel something stir inside you, maybe even more, when you know it's happening to people that you have some kind of symbiotic relation to, whether it's from your home country, the place where you knew where your family first started, or even people with even the same faith. It really, not that sometimes, not really any of those things matter sometimes, but when it does happen, you can't help but overcome with a sense of outrage and maybe a justifiable reason as to why so many of these things happen, because, well, for reasons that I'll probably have to like go over a lot of these reasons if I want to talk about men like Thomas Collins or the movie or even the fantastic documentary about a lot of the fighting during during basically the whole of the 20th century, to be honest. The march had been organised by the Northern Ireland Civil Rights Association, NICRA, to protest against internment without trial. The soldiers were the 1st Battalion of the Parachute Regiment, the 1 Para, the same battalion implicated by the Ballymurphy massacre several months before. 2 investigations were held by the British government. The Widgery Tribunal, held in the aftermath, largely cleared the soldiers and British authorities of all blame. It described some of the soldiers shooting as bordering on the reckless, but accepted their claims that they shot at gunmen and bomb throwers. The report was widely criticised as a whitewash. The Savile inquiry, chaired by Lord Savile of Newdgate, well, Newdigate, was established in 1998 to reinvestigate the incident much more thoroughly. Following a 12-year investigation, Savile's report was made public in 2010 and concluded that the killings were unjustified and unjustifiable. It found that all of those shot were unarmed, that none were posing a serious threat, that no bombs were thrown, and the soldiers knowingly put forward false accounts to justify their firing. The soldiers denied shooting the named victims, but also denied shooting anyone by mistake. On publication of the report, British Prime Minister David Cameron formally apologised. Following this, and David Cameron had only been Prime Minister for several months at that point, so, Following this, police began a murder investigation into the killings. One former soldier was charged with murder, but the case was dropped 2 years later when evidence was deemed inadmissible. Following an appeal by the families of the victims, however, the Public Prosecution Service resumed the prosecution. Bloody Sunday came to be regarded as one of the most significant events of the Troubles, because, and that's something else you're going to have to bear in mind, is that a lot of the conflicts between the British and the Irish during the 20th century were often referred to as simply the Troubles, because so many civilians were killed by forces of the state in view of the public and the press. It was the highest number of people killed in a shooting incident during the conflict and is considered the worst mass shooting in Northern Irish history. Bloody Sunday fueled Catholic and Irish nationalist hostility to the British Army and worsened the conflict. Support for the Provisional Irish Republican Army, IRA, rose, and there was a surge of recruitment into the organisation, especially locally. The Republic of Ireland held a national day of mourning, and huge crowds besieged and burned down the British Embassy in Dublin. Again, ladies and gentlemen, just to... this is something that I'll probably have to cover in a much larger video when... If I really did want to, I absolutely would talk a lot about the Troubles, because it's not that I don't really know a lot about the Troubles, although I will admit probably my ignorance of the Troubles is maybe only inadvertently caused by people who knew people, friends, family who were fighting the Irish and the IRA, but also for the fact that the other side of the coin is mostly absolutely 100% in favor of the Irish through, again, because I remember a couple of years ago, I did watch the film Thomas Collins and saw snippets of a documentary throughout the Troubled period. And I think most of them would have come throughout things like Bloody Sunday. And then, of course, there would have arisen things like the Good Friday Agreement, which maybe Good Friday would be a really good, an interesting time to actually talk about the Good Friday Agreement. Maybe we should try and do that, because at the very least, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm going to sit here and, try and do an Irish accent and talk a lot about the Troubles and a lot about the popular nationalist songs of the Irish, then we may as well do like a full sort of talk about where all this came from. And I would only really do it, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, if I claim to say that, a lot of my family started off in Ireland, then I feel like it would be good and proper to actually talk about it in length. And with all that being said and done, ladies and gentlemen, at least that's, again, a lot. I hope not all of the songs that we'll be covering throughout this event are going to be heavily inspired by a lot of the Troubles, but it's a good way to shed some light on the matter anyway. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye for now.